Do you know what this is? This is something I'm very, very excited about. It's a Surf Scoter carved by Pat Vincenti into upper Chesapeake Bay traditional style. This is exactly the way Madison Mitchell would have made one if he did when he was alive. This is a project I'm very excited about and something I've been on Pat for many, many years to do for me. These are birds Pat's made that we actually gun over. Let's check it out and see how he does it. The Decoy is born. A block of cedar or pine on a traditional upper bay Decoy body lathe. Once off the lathe, Pat uses a spoke shave to remove the saw kerf.
We're going to leave a platform for the head. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut this knob off and start to shape our breast. And at the same time roll it over to cut the tail. And you can get an idea of the rough shape of the tail and the breast.
Decoy heads. Pat typically uses dried basswood. This is the side profile being cut out on the bandsaw. Remember this safety tip, only the front side of the blade can cut you. Removing excess wood. Seriously, do not try this at home. Spoke shaving the backside of the heads, and as Pat likes to say, routering out the throats. As I like to say here, old traditions meets modern technology. Pat uses a Fordham tool as well as a handmade traditional upper Chesapeake Bay carving knife to carve and finish the head. Drilling the eye hole with a specialized bit. Cushion sander for the body. Draw knife the tail. Belt sand the body. Preparing the weight surface with the joiner. The Scoter is ready for assembly. Pat will use an expanding polyurethane glue to attach the basswood head to the solid pine body. Traditionally, 2 large galvanized nails will be run through the back of the neck and the head. This will help reduce twist in the head to the bodies as I gun over these and handle them daily. To fill the nail holes and the head and body joint, Pat will use a 2-part epoxy mixed with sawdust. After the filler has cured, the body is hand sanded. Now we can start to think about painting. The first step, Pat needs to seal the body. Once the Scoters are sealed, they're all moved into the paint room and Pat finally gets to sit down and start thinking about mixing up the base coat. Is black really black? Technically.
Oh.
If you're if you had a real bird in your hand,
okay.
It's a straight. That's what I'm trying to say. When it's a straight line, but if that looks cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with rancid.
And see, what I was going to do, all that is just a primer spot, and I want to make it a little bigger than what it is because I'm going to break all the edges up with a blending brush.
Maybe that's a little bit high, but my point is the straight lines like that.
Yeah, but we want them a little bigger than what we want.
Right, and if anything, you can come out here and actually kind of fill that.
Yeah.
That's more of.
Yeah.
Something like that. But you do them how you.
Yeah.
You do it how you want to do it. I mean, for sure. But I just wanted you to kind of. So when I say
but what I'm saying is we're going to prime them bigger so that when we finish painting them down, we can close them and make them wherever we want them. Is what I was thinking.
The next step for these Scoters is block painting, which is basically black on the bodies and the heads, white on the back of the head and on the forehead, as well as white on the bill. After this paint is dried, Pat is ready to really start painting. I've explained to Pat that these Scoters are going to get shot, but he can't let two little holes on the neck go. Pat's attention to detail is artisan-like. Step by step, the further in the process we go, these Scoters just start to come alive. Pat and Jeannie Vincenti are full-time carvers, and their paint room here is just full of birds ready to be painted.
Yeah. All right. I'm painting surf scoters. Never painted one before. Well, no, I'm feathering them. Putting green feathers on the back of them. Huh?
Pat is a talented guy. He can talk on the phone and never miss a stroke.
We just don't want that to drift out and get too brown.
I'm always told that Scoters are just black-bodied birds, and basically that's true. But Pat has come up with an excellent technique to detail the backs of these drakes. This is a paint job that just looks awesome. Pat, a super job. So as Pat starts to mix the bill paint, take a second and look under that piece of plate glass at the bench top. How many decoys do you think over the past 30 years have been painted on that thing? And the majority of it is with Ronin paints. Pat and Jeannie are one of the largest distributors of Ronin paints on the East Coast, and they sell it either online or at their store location in Havre de Grace. Pat is a wealth of knowledge with the chemistry of mixing oil paints. But as you can see here, as he starts to apply the yellow of the bill, he's even better using it with a brush.
Exactly.
This is the beauty to using oil paints, how well they blend together. And with Pat's experience, knowledge, and talent, he's able to blend basically red and yellow together to come up with a realistic surf scoter bill. This is a process that I could sit and watch forever. As a matter of fact, I have very often. Okay, please remember here, this is the very first surf scoter that Pat has ever painted. And I'm not sure we can get him to admit it, but I believe that this was his biggest challenge and his biggest fear, is blending these colors correctly to make a realistic bill, something that he'd be proud of. And honestly, that I'd be proud of to hunt over. Are they starting to come alive? I think so. Pat applies the black to what I think is the trademark surf scoter bill. A finished coat of white to the skunk heads. As our good friend Chappie would say, yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. Truly, I can picture these things now floating on the salt with scoters locked up and decoying in. I cannot wait. Pat applies the eyes for both you and me.
Oh, she's a dead duck.
First try, not enough lead. Second try, he's got it.
That's the way I would think. If it just barely turns in the waves and all, in the long line, it'll turn. That one does rot.
I think this has been a neat project for Pat because these scoters are actually going to be gunned over like all his birds used to be. In more recent years, they've really become collectibles, but we're going to change that. Apply the lead. A leather loop for the long line. And we are good to go.
Jeff, that does ride pretty even in the water.
That was,
Shifting that weight made a big difference.
it did. It looks good.
Yep, very good. Well, you know, this has really been fun, and as I told you before when you first asked me if I would be interested in making them, that this is clearly the first surf scooters I've ever made in 35 years, and I'm very proud to have made them for you.
Pat, thank you very much, man. I truly appreciate it. This is something cool that, I mean, it's a surf scooter done by Pat Vincenti in the upper Chesapeake Bay style of decoy carving, the way that, you know, the way that you were taught, and it's just been something neat to do, and we need to get these out in the boat and get them out on the water and try to see if we can get some birds over top.
Can't wait, can't wait.
Maybe we get Jonathan and Dylan to come along.
Absolutely, love to see them out on the water with the dogs and the guns and the decoys.
Again, Pat, thank you very much.
Yep.